Can love conquer hate? Big question. A footballer or a soccer player misses a penalty, or here in Wales, a rugby game, they missed a conversion. The reaction can be abuse, hate, online, or by letters, the old-fashioned way. Hate. Nelson Mandela. Who doesn't love Nelson Mandela? We all know him. He's a former president of South Africa. And he's taught us so much about so many things. But at one time, he was hated. Mother Teresa, the Catholic nun, who went to look after poor children in the slums of Calcutta in India, she dedicated her life to the love of those children, so no child or orphan went without love. The Tower of London, you'll remember in London when we had the poppies surrounding the tower. It was amazing. I'm not talking about real poppies. That's in the Somme in France, but these were metal poppies, so to speak, and then they were sold afterwards to help ex-servicemen. It was really to celebrate 100 years since the First World War. An act of love arising from hate. I notice many of you have driven here today, and often we sit in our cars now that traffic is back after the pandemic. So much traffic now on the roads. And often we look out of the window, and do you notice you see some flowers left by the roadside? Yeah. Sometimes, you've taken the dog for a walk and notice it there, maybe by a lamppost, or on benches in the park. We don't know why those are there. They may have arisen from an act of hate crime. I know about hate crime, I'm a lawyer. But actually, the act of love is shown by those flowers which are left there, often by strangers. The examples that I've given you are reactions to acts or incidents, aren't they, some of those, whether they be love or hate. But let me ask you, what if we could change our behavior? What if we can be more proactive and not reactive? Don't get me wrong, that gut feeling, that reaction that we get to things, it's so important, it's so powerful. For example, charities are a form of love, aren't they? Can you raise your hand if you donate to a charity? Gosh, I was expecting 50%, that's nearly the room. There's a woman here thinking, oh, she's judging me, I've not put my hand up. There's no judgment, and there are no prizes. But actually, we can all donate and show our love for the work of charities in many different ways. Look at the outpouring of love from those escaping areas of conflict, seeking refuge in our countries. Some of us have offered them homes. Some of us have shown our love in different ways, donated items, clothing, sleeping bags. I can tell you, I've never bought so many sanitary towels in my life. The man at the counter in the shop, I didn't quite know where to look. Nappies, toothpaste, books, football, just so that those escaping can be given those items and transported there. So you can show your love for charities in many different ways. And of course, we know there are loads of charities doing great, great things, aren't they? Brilliant things. Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders in 65 countries, treating people in those areas. Human rights charities like Amnesty International. Greenpeace, who are fighting to protect our planet and our environment. I say fighting, a lot of it's protests, I think, and bringing cases and hanging out in trees. But charities are an act of love. And if you're sitting there thinking, oh, I only donate to the cat charity, that's fine. Mine will probably be a dog charity. I've got a little dog which I got in lockdown. But what if we can change our mindset? What if we can alter our behavior so that we're more proactive? Perhaps some of these things may not happen. Perhaps they occur in different ways. Let me give you 3 examples. I know you're thinking about it, so I'm allowing time for you to process it, right? 3 things. I like things in threes, that's why I've got 3 children. Or 4 if you count my little puppy. First example, a child comes to school, doesn't have school uniform. Would like a school uniform, obviously. Perhaps they've come from a different school, or they've come from a different country, or a different area of the country, or a different part of the world. But they don't have a school uniform. School, reaction, ask people for clothing for the child, or maybe provides it. That's a reaction. But what if we were proactive? Proactive, have a set of old clothes for boys and girls, perhaps the child is non-binary, so that whenever that occasion happens, they've got the clothes there. That's proactive, right? 2, books in schools. When I was young, you went to school, certainly secondary school, and you needed some books, but the school provided it. Maybe it's a science book or a maths book, and you use a book to learn from and then subsequently do your exams. But actually, as times changed on, austerity, we're going into a global recession, not everybody can afford the books. My son started secondary school, and I had to buy a load of books. That's fine. But other children perhaps couldn't. So schools' reaction? They buy a book if they've got the funds, but not all schools have the funds. Or they seek books. That's reaction. Reactive, fine. But proactive would be, every time older children in the school leave, ask for their old books to remain in the school. Not all of them, perhaps there's a problem with storage, but at least there would be books there so that this position doesn't happen. So the parent doesn't have to say, I'm sorry, if I buy that book, my children are going to go without food. And they may not want to tell that to school, but proactive. Are you following? Yeah. 3, I can't help it. It's because I'm a lawyer, so I like doing this with that 3s. The playground can be all sorts of shenanigans, bullying, unpleasantness, and kindness. I'm not playing with you because you haven't got matching socks. I don't think they dance like that, but that's often how these things can materialize. I'm not playing with you because yesterday you hit me with the football. The reaction sometimes is to take a large hammer approach to stamp out, say no more football. That way everyone can just play with everybody. Perhaps a bit excessive. But what if we could be proactive? If the schools set down the clear rules for the behavior expected in the playground or around the whole school, when there are other incidents, let parents know what the expectations are, then children will feel secure in themselves, feel safe in the playground, make friends, encourage the children to find other people to play with, somebody who's not playing with other people. That's reactive. That way, children will be secure. Because we know, don't we, ourselves, when we all feel secure and safe, we feel as though we belong. That's inclusion. So those were three examples that I was giving you. And of course, there are many ways that we could do that. They needn't be huge acts. They can be small acts. So I ask you again, if we want a better tomorrow, tomorrow's world, and we want hope for the future, we all need to be more proactive. Being proactive is an act of love. Being proactive gives us hope. It's just a little bit more, isn't it, than just being reactive. So what's the solution? What's the verdict? I'm not asking anyone here to be a foreman or a forewoman of a jury. I'm just used to juries. But what is the verdict? Let's think about it for a moment. You know, I am a lawyer, so I do go back to law. And I practice law, that's my day job. I don't look like this. I normally wear a wig made from horse hair. I'm an English lawyer, so that's what we wear in court. And I wear a cape, and then a collar. Actually, the cape is called a gown. I know there's a gentleman there thinking, are you a superhero from Marvel? I'm not, but I'll take it. I'm not, and if I was, I would be a justice hero. And I've been a lawyer a barrister at law for 23 years in October this year. And I deal in evidence. I work at looking at solutions. So what is the verdict? Well, the verdict, or the solution, is for us to be more proactive. That we can all be more proactive. Because love equals being proactive. So why don't we give back the power to love, to conquer hate? That way we're being proactive. Perhaps I am a superhero using the words conquer and giving the power to love, to conquer hate. You know, Mother Teresa said, we can't all do great things, but we can do small things with great love. And I ask all of us to be more proactive, because love can conquer hate. Thank you.